Oops. There we go. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Techano. My name is Petra. I really appreciate you for taking the time and effort to be here live and direct every single Saturday. Well, not every single Saturday. Every Saturday you will have new content. Well, that's at least the idea. We're going to talk about that later. But every other week it's live. It's just a matter of having the same sentence in my brain for the last couple of years, 6 years or so. But anyway, welcome everybody. Appreciate you for taking the time and effort, and sorry for no content last week. Was quite busy, and we're going to definitely talk about what we've done so far. Let me know if there are any questions or comments or whatever. Please let me know, so I will reach out and check you. I have the chat right there. And if you are watching after the fact, after Saturday 7 p.m. Central European time, then no worries, just comment on the video. I will see it and I will be reacting to it regardless. All right, let's check who's in. And we already say indeed MT is of course the first one, and indeed you need some elevation for a proper overview of the best pictures without interference. And he is of course referencing actually this thing right here. Let me show you this one right here, which is the picture that I used for the thumbnail of today's episode. And actually it's a bigger picture because also here you'll see also a additional location for a camera. So we had 3 cameras high above, but more on that later. And indeed, you are right, MT. It is definitely good to have some elevation. Veal was also having a reaction on this. Wait a sec. There you go. The van roof is also a good place to have rails to support some kind of platform to stand on. Yes, but then you do need to have a good foundation. And I think that is not in place on that particular van. That van, I will talk about that later because I think it's cool, but it's maybe not what you think it is. So that was one thing. And then next to that we have, Abdi says that I'm right about the stability. I agree. Eric says, coming through loud and clear. Absolutely fantastic. And I think that I do love that music still to this day. It is from Epidemic Sound. If you are interested, then you know where it's coming from. And let's see who's also here. I see DJ Wares in the house. Welcome to everybody, he says. So that is really cool. Thank you so much. And also a remark to the tune, which is cool. Garrett is also all the way from Germany, from Stuttgart. And of course, Raoul, he says, good afternoon, good evening, good day, wherever you are. It's always cool for you guys to be here live and direct. MT says it turns out how turn the carnival out. I'm sure it was a blast. Absolutely, we're going to talk about that today, MT, as a, let's say, a gig report, but a little bit different as standards. And also welcome to Alex, all the way from Italy. Really appreciate you to be here. Absolutely fantastic, guys. Italy, one of the countries I would love to go one day. Almost was there in Terramina, but didn't work out. Anywho, let's talk about today's content. And it was, of course, as you might, you can imagine, it was related to obviously the not 1, not 2, but 4 days in a row of content. Some of those content I did earlier on, and so it's not 100% content that is in that 4 days, but it was broadcasted in those 4 days. So as a matter of fact, you might have noticed like 2 or 3 or 4 weeks ago that we had a discussion on a theater gig and another one. And these 2 are also incorporated in today's show because I actually wanted to combine the 4 elements. Last Saturday, we actually had also a live show that was also broadcasted not only on Facebook but also on local television. And the same thing happened on Monday, which was also broadcasted live on television, and the Sunday too. But that is with the gear of the church, so I didn't count that for this video. But yeah, basically, I think that I was part of, let's say, 10 hours, 11 hours of unique content throughout that weekend, and I can tell you, it's really cool to do. It's a lot of energy. You get a lot of energy from it during that day, but the energy level after that is kind of like so. I think that the next week everything will be better. I'm almost back to normal, but it's quite a challenge to say the least, of course. But let's talk about that anyway. I want to take you a little bit along for the journey, what we've did so far, and this time around I'm going to use my phone for that, because I want to show you at first the first video that I've talked about a couple of weeks ago. Just a quick reminder, if I can find it. Yeah, here it is. I'll do a quick video, and then I'll show you the where is it? Otherwise, I'm just going to show you some pictures. I'm going to show you some pictures. Boom. That's easier. All right. So maybe you recall this one right here. So this is this was the first setup that I had back then, and this setup is really at a theater. And as you look here, you can also see the chairs in the theater, and of course the big curtain, the red curtain, as it's always is these days. And you also see that not we only did we have 4 cameras, we actually had 6 cameras that were connected to this ATEM, and in this case that's an ATEM SDI that you can see right here. Recording on the SDI because this unit, because it's also the ISO model, but next to that you also see a HyperDeck shuttle, which of course you need to have a converter for that, but that was also a additional recording device. So ISO recording on the ATEM and program recording on the HyperDeck shuttle. And as you can see here somewhere, yep, here, I also utilized this small video assist 5-inch, so that I was aware what we were recording, so that I know that everything that we're doing is actually being captured. But of course, we also utilized this PTZ controller by PTZ Optics. It's a SuperJoy. Not really happy with this unit. We'll talk about that later. Please remind me if I forget about that. But I seriously am considering to move away from this board due to some unforeseens and some issues that I'm having with it. And then, of course, we've got the new audio interface. And that is really cool, because that really was the way that everything looked like. And I actually made it a little bit more simple for you guys by, well, this here. This is exactly what we used for that particular instance. I've called it a large registration kit. Let me explain registration kit. So I divide it between purely registering what is going on, what somebody else is producing. So I'm not part of the production, but I am just recording what is going on. Where the production kit is really, I am also producing the show that I'm actually also capturing. So what is the difference is that basically the production kit is almost always with the 2ME switcher, while the registration kit is almost certainly with the Extreme system. That's the way that I have figured it out, and you will see that there are not so much differences across the few days, and I think that that's quite interesting, because that does sound to me like it's getting to an optimized state. That's also the reason why I'm showing it to you, because it might be something that you're interested in. So going back to this, a large registration kit. On the left hand side, you see the Allen & Heath CQ18T. Typically, I'm using that audio mixer for bringing in front of house, so left and right basically, and additionally ambience mics that I've brought with me myself, so that I can also bring a little bit more of the audience in the mix as well, so that it's not so isolated as it looks like. Then for PTZ control, because I did use 3 Burdock P120s, I utilized the PTZ Optics SuperJoy. Like I said earlier on, I am not so happy with the SuperJoy at this particular moment. Why? Due to the fact that there are a few reasons actually, but one of the major reasons, and the one that's actually, you know, the famous drip that makes it so that it's overloaded. That is because sometimes and a few times a evening, the SuperJoy acts quite awkward, in the sense that typically what you do is if you have a joystick, you do this with the joystick and you let it go, it'll stop the movement of the camera. So going to the left, stop, going to the right, stop. But occasionally you go to the left and it stays going to the left all the way until the very end of what the device can handle. And that is of course not handy, because if I go the other way around, it'll do the same thing, but then the other way around. So the stop command is not going to the to the camera anymore. And the only way of fixing it is to reboot the SuperJoy. So it means literally yanking out the PoE cable and then putting it back in. And that's not a great experience, I can tell you, especially if you are trying to make a really cool production. So then, third is the Extreme, the SDI Extreme, so SDI only. I'm also recording on that device, multi-camera recording, so every single camera is recorded separately, and the program out is recorded separately. And then on top of that, I'm doing it again on a HyperDeck Shuttle via converter, because a HyperDeck Shuttle is HDMI, but it is really handy that you have both. And by the way, that seemed to be a very good idea, because not on this particular instance at the theater that you just saw, but in one day later, we actually had one scene that was not recorded properly because of an issue on the Extreme. So I actually had to go to the HyperDeck Shuttle as a fallback mechanism, and it worked. So I had still everything that I needed, though not the ISO recording, but I did have the live recording, which is quite handy. Now, this is a large registration with some sketches that could not be broadcasted, so they had to be removed. And that's the reason why it's also not live broadcasted. That's why I needed to edit the end result in DaVinci Resolve, which was really a breeze, both on the Extreme ISO, but also one thing on the HyperDeck Shuttle. Again, we used a mix of 3 Birdocks and 2 different cameras. One of them I've put here, that's the PXW X70, an older Sony camera, and next to that, the Hollyland Mars T1000, which does include the possibility to have tele on the Sony, but not on the Birdocks, which is a bit of a bummer. That is the large setup that we used back then. I do still have some other pictures, I think, from that day, so to give some meaningful ideas on how it looked like. So let me show another angle for you guys on this day. This was another angle right here, same situation, but looked very nice. And I think here you've got the configuration as it was during that day. So the first 2 were front of house, and the second 2 were the ambience. And honestly, after the fact, I would easily have done a little bit more on the ambience, because I could really use a little bit more ambience on that one than I had right there. All right, let me see if there are some comments or remarks, then that would be cool. And then let's see. Oh yeah, so that turned out that we already talked about. Alex says, the CQ18T, are you happy with it? I am very happy with it. Let me say it the way that I think about it at the moment. Eric says, oh, cool, I love the diagram. Equipment inventory is very helpful. Yeah, it is definitely. And it's also something that I thought it would be cool to just talk a little bit about today, because what I figured out after like 3-4 weeks of having a lot of things to do is that it's not that shockingly different across the different days. So that's really cool to show as well. Eric says, too bad that Super Joy controller, it has one job, to stop after it snaps back to the neutral position. Absolutely, that should work, but and it's not always, it's not every single time, but it's just it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel that you can count on it, and you know, if you have a production, then that is really killing. So it is what it is, as they say. Yeah? So that is the large setup that you can see right here. So let's move on to the next one and watch the animation, because the animation gives it a little bit away. So if I go to the next slide right now, then if it works, there you go, boom. So actually, this was the second day, and you might notice that it's not very, very different than we had previously, and that is by not by chance. That's really by design. I wanted to have a setup that is really something that I can work with, and then I'll show you this short video. Right here, I think. Yep, this is the one that I wanted to show. So this is a video of the second day, and we will go through one by one as well. So give me a few seconds to show it to you. Boom, there you go. So here you go again. Again, we have the CQ18. You have the Super Joy right there. You've got the ATEM Mini HDMI version, which is different. And then, of course, we've got the HyperDeck and the 5-inch monitor. And all of the cameras are next to me, or very close to me, and that also meant that I could actually very easily just consider to, you know, use HDMI and not SDI. And I happen to still have the Mini Extreme, so the HDMI version, so that is the reason why we've chosen for that. So basically all of the components are the same except for the ATEM Mini Extreme. The ATEM SDI Extreme is swapped with the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO, the HDMI model, and only burdocks were used in this video. Nothing more, nothing less. And so again, very straightforward setup. I'm really happy that it had not one but two different recorders, because like I said, one of them failed. How did it fail? I saw that it was blinking throughout the recording. It's like, that is not normal. So I had to stop the recording and restart it again, and then everything was fine. But of course, that was at the start of that sketch. So basically, that sketch was ruined anyway, so that's the reason why I went to the HyperDeck Shuttle on that particular day. But it was really cool to do that. And also here you see that I was not live, it was in DaVinci Resolve, and the reason is a little bit different. Actually, they wanted to go live, but that would not be a great experience for people at home. It takes quite a lot of time to change the podium or the stage from one sketch to the other, and that meant that the whole thing took 4.5 hours. And while if we would remove everything that is not related to that, it was about 3 hours. So 1.5 hours less to broadcast. It was still a long time, but it was really cool, and everybody loved it, and people were really happy that we actually broadcasted it. But of course, we did manage to give it a little bit less of time because of that. Cole says reliable hardware is the whole point. Bomber, and indeed, that is exactly the one. And MT says, wait a sec. Indeed, at work we also have one with the same behavior, so I only use it to set up the cameras and only work with presets, which is a bummer, right? That should not be the case. I mean, that is so stupid, to be honest. I mean, yeah, you know what I mean. So, yep. Well, let's see. I'm having a little bit of trouble with this shot right here. My bad. But maybe it's working. So let's see if I go here. It is actually working. Perfect. Right. Okay. So that was the medium registration kit. Not so much differences than you might think. But now things will go a little bit differently. Now we are really going to change quite some things. And that is because we're also going to go live. So now we're going to go to what happened last week, Saturday. I have to go down on the phone a little bit. And last week, Saturday, we were invited at the City Hall. And at City Hall, there was, of course, the carnival thing. And that's also the reason why we were doing that. And we actually did, again, a very nice video. It was actually really well received. Actually, not so much issues, but there were a few at the starting point. I will show that after the fact, because we did prepare quite a lot on this one. But there was still a few things that didn't go that well, but I'll talk about that in just a bit. Let's show the setup again of what it looked like right there. So there you go, and boom. So here you go. So this roughly the same setup, but this time around with a laptop with vMix, and the rest actually is almost the same as you normally have. And also here we had 4 cameras plus 1 from the local ATEM, and here you can see the LiveView Solo Pro, which we actually also used for as an additional means to make sure that everything was going well. So that being said, what did go wrong? Well, what went wrong is the following. So we had a very good idea to put how to say that, a camera in the right smack center of the venue. So this was the venue right here that you can see now. So this is what it looked like. A really nice picture. Well, the coloring has been fixed, don't worry, but this was before we fixed the color. But this was the look and feel that we were aiming for. Nice with candeliers and nice arches, really beautiful with just a really nice vibe, as you can see right there. That was the day before. So the day before we were building everything and making sure that everything was fine. A lot of 50-meter cables were used to get things done. And the next day, before I show that, this is how we did it. So here you go. The City Hall was very nice for to think along and provide this trussing. And as you can see, there was this small burdock. And come to think of it, that's a P100. I should have added that one. But yeah, so this is what it looked like right there. And as you could see, I was now on the podium, and I think that, or the stage, and I think, yeah, there's way enough room to make it work. By the way, if you are interested how it was mounted, I'll also show that very quickly. So this is the way that we mounted it. So with a super clamp by Manfrotto. I love those clamps. They're very sturdy and very capable. And basically that is the way that we did it. And by using the second bar we were very sure that we were very straight and horizontal wise, so it was actually a good experience for us. Now comes the kicker, is that a day later, this happened. There were balloons. There were balloons, and I don't know if you can see it, but the balloons are extremely close to the camera. Extremely close to the camera. So that was a bit of a bummer. So we needed to pivot a little bit. So what we did was that we actually put one level down because we still had some room, and it actually worked quite well. But of course, it doesn't. It's not really a good experience, of course, right? So that was a bit of a bummer. Oh, where's my? There you go. Wait a sec. There it is. All right. So that was a bit of a learning curve for us. Not to think about that everything is good for from the good go. It can go a little bit different, but let's talk about what it looked like. So again, this was the registration kit for the second one. So what was the third one like? How does that look like? Well, it actually looked like this. So you could see that we actually rented 3 Sony cameras, and we had one not moving bird dog. The white bird dog that you saw right there was a P100, not the P120, but it was not moving. It was just one shot, and that was it. And then 3 rented cameras, and that's the way that we actually managed it. Of course, we went back to the SDI version because we needed all the 50 meters of cables. We used the CQ18T to add some ambience and audio to the mix. We used vMix locally there on the desk to add some graphics and to play some videos, and we used the HyperDeck as a means to record the end result as well. And we used the LiveView Solo Pro, which we still have on land, to utilize that to bring the output to the local television via SRT, and that worked really well. And that is the reason why I think that this was a good idea. Now, honestly, did we really needed to use the LiveView Solo for this one? No. We actually one of our colleagues has some friends that are actually installers of cable modems. So they have the possibility to temporarily provide a unit for like a few hours for us, so that we have a full bandwidth of cable. Only coax cable, that's what they said to us. So only coax cable can do this. Fiber will be a problem, but at least with what we had 30 up, which is plenty. But it was a good feeling that at least we had something to fall back at, because we also had 4G and 4G networks, not 5G because of where we were, but that was good enough for us. And again, maybe to highlight, so also here we utilized the HoloLens Mars T1000. All 3 rented cameras had a tally light, had the ability to talk to the cameraman. But one of the things that is missing in this setup is an ability to talk to the presenters, and that is one of the things that I still need to work on in my setups. Let me see if there are any questions before I move on. There's a lot of discussions going on. Garrett says never had the issue with the Fomaco PTZ until now, which is great. Metal truss and Monfrotto clamp for the win. Yeah, absolutely. Was laughing about something. That's cool. Slingshot time. Did I do something wrong? I don't know. Maybe I'm. Confetti inside balloons is a guaranteed nuance. Absolutely. Especially if it's metallic. Yeah, that is definitely. You're totally right on that one. That's terrible. That is definitely terrible. I think that was not really a big issue though, so that is good. Anyway, I'm thinking out loud. What is the next step? Let's talk a little bit about. So that was the City Hall one, right? So that was quite well. We learned something. Everything worked actually well, and honestly, I actually purchased a additional antenna for that Hollyland. Come to think of it, so there below you see the Hollyland Mars 1000 again. For that unit, I actually purchased a external antenna because I was expecting, because of the big distances, that we would have some issues there, and but it turned out everything was great, so we didn't need it, which is a bit of a bummer, of course, because why are you buying something then, right? Well, it turns out that we needed it 2 days later. So 2 days later was indeed the one that we actually started the show with. And let's go there a little bit again. Let's go to that picture again. So this day, we actually were outside. We actually had a really nice van that we rented for the day. It was an empty van when we started, but we did, of course, add some equipment in there. So we actually bought 2 IKEA tables, some small tables, and this is the first one. And as you can see, we have the ATEM SDI. You got the Hollyland on the left hand side, my monitor in the center, and on the right hand side, the graphics laptop. Behind the laptop, you see a speaker. There's just one speaker that we used there that day. Was enough for what we wanted, and this is the second table, as you can see. And again, you got the HyperDeck shuttle. And the I'm calling it the confidence monitor, the 5-inch monitor right here. Without this thing, I would be lost, because that gives me all the idea that everything is fine. And then next to that, you see an additional computer, a real computer, a desktop computer. You cannot see it anymore, but this is a desktop computer. And actually, this computer is used to forward the end result to the studio, which happens to be very close, because the studio is actually right there. So that building on the left hand side, that is the studio already, but because of not having enough cable length, we decided to utilize NDI for the last part of the setup. I think was quite well. And but I said we had a problem, and the reason why we had a problem is because we were, of course, in a Faraday case due to the fact that we were in a van. So that was one thing, and the second thing was that the main camera was actually utilizing, on the camera itself, 3 devices that were wireless. One was the microphone, so all audio went via the cameras this time around. So that's the reason why you will not see the CQ18 coming back in just a bit. So that was one. So my a wireless microphone, wireless camera, wireless SDI, so a converter with a few meters of being wireless, which was really handy, worked like a charm, no issues at all. except for that the tele information didn't work, and the person was complaining that he could not hear me because of static, etc., etc. So luckily, like I said, I actually purchased a external antenna a couple of weeks earlier because I was expecting some issues at the other event. Not this one, but the other one. It turned out it was not that one, but it definitely was this one. So here you go. This is the external antenna coming out of the van, and this really worked like a charm. And I'm actually very, very pleased with this result because, well, we didn't purchase it for nothing. It was really needed, and that is the reason why I really, really think that that's a good thing. And this is something, by the way, that I was a little bit shocked to learn, is that some people that are actually part of this production were not even thinking about what can go wrong up front. Actually, I was doing that all of the time. I mean, typically what I do when I say yes to a gig, I immediately start to think, okay, what can go wrong? And I want to make sure that I counteract what can go wrong as much as I can. Of course, there are also limitations to what I have because, well, budget is always an issue. But at least I think about it, and it turned out to be a good call on my end to do it this time around. All right. So let's show you a little bit what will happen in just a bit. So if you go back to this screen right here, then this one again was the one that we had in the City Hall, and this one is actually the one that we had during the broadcast of the Carnival setup. Basically, more vMix heavy, but still having the same setup as we had the day before. And this was really one of the reasons why I thought that this show would be good to have that discussion, because if you look at the show, then you'll see that in those 4 different gigs, there's a lot of overlap. And there are still things that are missing, right? So if you look at the things that are missing or not good enough, then the PTZ Optics one is definitely one that is not good enough. It has the major issue of what I just said, not stopping if you move to a certain location, which is really a problem. Second thing is that, and that's because I don't have PTZ Optics cameras, but Burlex cameras, I cannot show the camera that I'm actually fixing on a separate screen. So actually I want to be able to show, if I press camera 1, I want to see camera 1 on the screen in front of me, and so that I can really dial it in, make sure that everything is nicely focused, nicely lit, etc. And that's simply not possible with that unit. Another thing that's not possible with the unit is that I cannot see which camera I actually have selected. I really have to go into the small letters, and I have glasses, not because I have great eyesight. So that was a bit of a bummer anyway. So I want to have something that is really clear. So okay, I press camera 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. Then next to that, it does not support tele on the Burdox, for example, which is also quite awkward because that will make a lot of sense, because if camera 1 is active or live, then you want to see a red button because you don't want to touch it anymore. If it's a preview, you want to see a green button so that you know I better be careful because it might go to live, right? That's all not possible on that machine, and I do have an idea on what is possible. But unfortunately, I have not purchased it yet, so I have to wait a little bit longer. We will talk about that later, but I do have a solution in mind for that one. Another thing missing. Actually, I think that those are the major issues that I'm having at this particular moment. And all the other stuff is quite small in comparison. I think that's the biggest issue that I'm having at this particular moment. Anywho, let's see if there are some comments. Yes, MT says it's always to be prepared and think ahead. Yeah, that's really very important indeed. Uh, let me say, it's these kinds of experiences that are sheer terror during the show, but ones which help prepare us for the next show. Yeah, and I also want to utilize these shows to tell it to you guys that you know that you're aware of these issues and how you can counteract them if at all you are in that experience, because it might happen, right? So one thing that you might have noticed, by the way, I almost forgot about that, is that in this particular instance you don't see any live view in this particular instance, and that is really because we were very close to the studio. We had a direct line, network line to the studio, so we were very confident that this would not fail on us. That's the reason why we did not do it. Otherwise, we would have done it for sure, because the live view solo, the way that we see it, is really a product that makes sure that there's always connectivity. So if the landline fails, then at least we still have 4G. But in all fairness, if the landline fails on that system at that particular time, then the landline fails in the studio, which basically means that we don't even broadcast at that particular moment, because everything goes via LAN anyway to the outside world. So we would have bigger problems at that particular time. Anywho, that was what I wanted to talk to you about. 4 different episodes, but all 4 with very much the same setup. So I think that yes, we are reaching an optimized version for the registration kit. The production kit is quite optimized as well, but that does need a little bit more love. So that will be something that I will be working on this year. Though I do expect that the love that particular unit needs is less of buying new gear, but more about buying cases, buying better quality cables and that kind of stuff. Whilst I think that these registration kits were very much also an issue with the gear that we had. I still have like 2 different mixers still, so we still got the X32. I'm thinking about using that one for talking to the presenters, so really having that separated. And then I've still got my trustworthy 10-year-old QU16, and that will be when I'm having, for example, bands. Though honestly, I do think that that's going to be a problem coming forward. That it's going to be less and less and less. So I am considering to sell one of those or both of them off, because the CQ18 is really a good piece of kit. Last remarks before we leave. I see my dear friend Robin. Hi, Robin. Hi. Hi. Let's see. That's why that's why I don't have a production company. I don't like stress, and I don't have enough experience to troubleshoot. Yeah, Raoul, that's the thing. You do need to invest in that kind of stuff if you want to do it. I'm really happy with what I'm doing at the moment, though I'm also still small, but that's okay. I'm actually quite happy with the size of our production quality company, and we also have the possibility also to help others out as well, so that's okay. Anyway, like I said, this was all that I had in store for you guys today. I'm trying to get something out there next week, which is pre-recorded. Please be aware that the last week was quite a challenge. A lot of things on my mind, so I'll try it. But don't be mad at me if that's not the case. But I will be back in 2 weeks with a live show. So every other week there will be a live show, and in between I try to make 1 video as well. So basically that means 2 live shows a month and 1 pre-recorded video. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I really appreciate you for taking the time and effort. And again, I'm always very much happy to see everybody. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great evening. Bye bye.